All right, we welcome you into episode 3 of the weekly women's sports report presented by Fordham Lee Distillery in Middleton, Maryland, and Bet Online, a spirit worth remembering. And we will go to the Camelot Exteriors hotline and bring in one of the queens of Arkansas sports, the softball head coach.
Oh, that was really generous.
How's it going?
That was very, very.
Yeah. You caught me off guard before we started recording, so I had to catch you off guard.
Well, you got me. I'm just really excited to be on, and I love what you're doing, so I'm pumped to be a part of it. So thanks for having me on tonight.
And talk about pumped. Man, it's hard not to get pumped about your team. Where you have started, where it was at last year, the climb, and then of course what's going to be the future of this program. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, every time I would see a name, I was getting so excited, and then putting the number 3 by this name and 5 and 7. I mean, it was just amazing. And I know, without going too much in depth with it, but I mean, just how exciting is it to see this program, share it with your staff, and just see what has become with this softball program?
Well, it's really exciting. I just feel like this is, this is why we do it. I think we love this place. We love our job. I love my staff. I love my team. We just, and I think that when you're around us, you can feel that. You can feel how special this place is, and you can feel how special our bond, our dynamic is. And I feel like right now we are in such a good spot. I think that we've seen some great success. I think we've built this program to where that success is sustainable. And, you're seeing it in these recruits. I mean, I know I can't dive in too much deeper too. I know that you talk about them. I can say that we are really, really excited. And it's that time where they've, early in our time here, when we were recruiting against other SEC schools that maybe the recruits are coming up dreaming of going to fill in the blank because they watched them on TV, they watched their success, and now we are reaping the benefits of these kids watching us, wanting to be a part of the program, of just kind of watching us through their most impressionable years of where they want to go to college, and seeing the success, how we play the game, how special this place is, and they're jumping in the boat, and we're really excited about it.
And everyone, I mean, the freshman class you have now, the people that I've talked about coming, they've all said the same thing. It was the staff and the atmosphere. So I really want to, give a good shout out to your whole staff, because it's Sam Pittman and his coaching staff gets that praise of buying in. And it seems like that is the same exact thing going on at Bogle. The atmosphere of the fans buying into that program. I mean, what does it say that you've had your same assistants? I know you had a volunteer assistant leave for a paid position, but what does that say about your staff and that family atmosphere, that you're not only preaching it, but you are it when it comes to a family atmosphere?
Well, I think the world of our staff. I think I have the best staff in the country. And it's kind of crazy. Someone just released longest tenured staff, or longest staff work together, and we're in the top 10. We've been together 7 years, which doesn't seem long enough to make it, but also I just am really proud that we are on that list, because we really just genuinely enjoy working with each other. And we've all been in this profession for a long time, and we don't take for granted every day that we just respect the crap out of each other and going to battle with each other. And I think that we just balance each other out really, really well. And it just starts with just a love and respect for each other. And it means that we can disagree really well. They can push me. They can be like, hey, Courtney, you're wrong. We need to go this way. And so we just, I love them. I hope that I get to coach with them forever. And I hope that they feel the same. But how we treat each other is how we treat our team. And so it filters down, and it's, and I just really, truly believe that there's a way to treat people. And when you love someone, you tell them, and you show that, and you follow through. And so I hope that oozes from our program as it does from our staff.
And really, what has that made you evolve as a coach? Because I've always pointed out a certain point last year that certain person that was left off a certain pole lit a fire underneath you. And we come into this meeting with me and Paul Boyd, and we were caught off guard on just never seeing you react. And it almost seemed like it lit a fire under you. And it was like, by example, your team seen that. It changed your team because that was going into the Kentucky series or right after the Kentucky series. I can't remember if it was before or after, but there was a change in your coaching, the change in the team, and everything you could see in that team moving forward. And just what clicked with you moving forward from that moment?
Well, I don't know that it was just like it might have just been everything coming to a head. I just feel like this program in specifically hasn't gotten the respect that it deserves. And I feel like each year we start fresh. Like we have to start fresh of like, just proving ourselves. And I think people just kind of counting us out or thinking like, oh, well, they won the SEC, but they didn't play everybody. And it's like, okay, well, the team that we shared it with didn't play everyone either. It's just like always finding a reason, always finding an excuse for our success. And so it just gets really old. And when someone like Hannah Gamble is left off one of the top player list, you protect your own. I think that we are a very tight group. I think that I am in a position where I can be their voice. I can teach them how to use their voice, but then I can be their voice. And there's a way to fight those things, and there's a way to air your opinion in a respectful way. I respectfully disagree with their list. I think that she deserved to be on there. There wasn't a top player list. If you're actually looking at the metrics that matter in this game right now, there is no way Hannah Gamble is not on that list. And so it's my opinion.
Yeah. And when we were really breaking down the SEC Player of the Year, and this is not a biased thing at all, you could have looked at three of your players statistically and made a case for three of them, Lenny Malcolm, Daniel Gibson, and KB Sides, to be the Player of the Year. Yep. And this isn't taking nothing away from KB at all. This is just for the discussion. Do you think that they should change that to where they take away just the SEC play when they award that? Or do you think that's a good thing that they do take conference play in their stats when it comes to awarding the Player of the Year?
I think it's a good thing because I think it's a good thing. It's probably the most accurate measure of SEC play when you can't, the conference has no bearing on the other 32 games that we play. And that's a huge chunk of it. So when you're looking at it, that's why it's like, I always feel like it's so important. All three of them had tremendous years. KB in SEC play was off the charts, and Gibby, you could make an argument for any of them. Yeah. And you just have to remember, it's like, okay, this was just for SEC play. I think there's too many disparities if you were to go outside of that. So I like how we do it. Yeah. We actually just changed our format, which for SEC awards, and I like it a lot better.
Well, good. I was, like I said, this is taking nothing away from the players, just for the discussion. Because sometimes you might see players but then again, they could take advantage of it and stack their schedule to boost the records. But you just come off the fall slate, and I will say this, coming into it, of course, with the freshman class, there's been a lot of talk of this class, and seeing them a couple of times, they are every bit as talented. And I want to say, I know I've said this every year, this is going to be the most loaded roster that you've ever had. And just watching these kids play outfield, I've seen speed, and the bunts. And just how does that change because now everybody sees what kind of program you are. Now that you get to throw curveballs at them because they don't know what they're going to get with your team this year.
Yeah, it's exciting. I think that there's so many more layers to our team as a whole, but as our offense specifically. And we have a lot of layers. I think for a long time we got a bad rap that like all we cared about was the long ball and that we didn't steal bases and we didn't do any of the short game, but it's also the personnel that you have and the clientele, and then also knowing what creates runs and everything. So we definitely added new layers to our offense that are going to be really, really exciting. And so, yeah, it allows you to have a little bit more strategy. It allows you to get things in motion, try to create havoc, and it hasn't really been something that we've had in the past. So, you watch us and you always see the corners at the bases because they know we didn't do a lot of short stuff and we drove the ball, and we have a really good balance of driving the ball and short game and speed. And so, it'll be exciting. It'll kind of make me get out of my comfort zone, and I'm looking forward to that. Absolutely.
And then, of course, we mentioned Hannah Gamble, and more than likely, she's going to be playing a different position this year. So how is that, a player that is highly touted as she is, switching positions, and how do you think that's going to gel? One, how was it when you approached her about the change, and then just how well is she adapted to that change?
I have some visitors really fast. Say hi.
Hi.
Yeah. Live show.
Oh. Come on, Chirp, you want to say hi?
Hi.
They have to see you. There.
Hello to the
You guys
audience.
can come up and be on the camera.
Yeah.
Hannah Gamble's a really good catcher, huh? That's what they were just asking. Yeah. Well, it's interesting because you guys don't have to stay if you don't want. You can say hi. They wanted to say hi. And
Hello.
it's interesting because if you were to say, oh, you're going to move your first team All-American third baseman away from third base, people look at you like you have 5 heads. Why would you ever think to do that? But she does an excellent job back there. She still has some learning curve piece of just kind of getting back there. But, when you approach her, she is the epitome of team player, and she just wants to be on the field and she wants to win. So when I kind of talked to her about it earlier in the fall, of just kind of like, I really don't see how we're not going to put you back there. You're really good back there. We have a lot of great options at third. And she said, I don't care. I'll do whatever you tell me to do. I want to win. I want to, she wants to be on the field and she wants to win. And so she doesn't even hesitate. And so what that does for our team in gelling wise is that it shows you one of your best players will do anything that you ask her to do. And she gets to bring that passion. She always finds a way of bringing passion every pitch from third base. Well, now she gets to do that from behind the plate, and it'll have a huge impact on us.
Well, that's what I was going to ask, having a captain like that behind the plate with you missing a piece, with Ellsworth, it's almost like you're filling that with another All-American, and having some, especially with so much youth on the team, you're going to be seeing some freshman pitchers out there. Mm-hmm. So it's almost imperative that you have that piece there that calm the pitchers down, because, Turner and Kamazend and Heron, these girls getting a jam, and it'd be nice to have a senior, back there helping them out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, she's just a junior. Let's hurry her time through here. Yeah. I want every minute that we get with Hannah Gamble. But she has such strong relationships with everyone on the team, and she has a way of connecting with everyone. So that's absolutely something we're going to tap into when it comes to the battery, because you look at last year and you look at Danielle anchoring it at first and Hannah at third, and you lose both of those when you transition her behind the plate. And that's always the first person to kind of put a bug in the pitcher's ear. And so now Hannah can kind of do that from the plate. Taylor did such a great job. So we still have a way of Hannah reaching everyone, which we need her to do. But she has such a strong connection with the pitchers, and just she knows how to get the best out of everyone. She knows how to push those buttons and just in a supportive way. That's just who Hannah is.
And then, of course, with your transfers coming in along with this freshman, I mean, they're just – it was amazing to me watching this team. I know there's growth to be made, but how well they played together so early. Mm-hmm. And if they're playing this well together, and nobody's perfect, but just watching them play, it gets you really excited seeing the growth that they're going to make until the springtime.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you could see how well they played together, and we threw a million combinations out there, and they just blend really, really well. But I think that our transfers, all three of them, have had just huge impact, like a huge impact on this team this fall. I think they're very, very secure in who they are. They're very confident. They're very established, and they're very, very welcoming. And so they've really just dove right in, and they've just taken on leadership roles, and they've been here for like 3 months. But just in the way they carry themselves on and off the field, you can't help but follow their lead. And I think that they've done a tremendous job. And I think that that's the big thing, and kind of anchoring that infield and pushing everyone to work and blend. And it's been great. I was really excited going to the fall. I'm like, oh, we have so many things to see, and hopefully we'll get some answers. And I went through the fall going, we got to see a lot, and we still don't have all the answers. But we have some really, really great pieces, and just great depth and great character kids. And I'm really, really excited to work with them.
I know it's almost like you have this bag of talent and puzzle pieces, and you just throw it out on the table. You're like, all right, what am I going to do with this?
I know, it's so funny because we have Jim Pay, like we have a super fan that comes to practice almost every morning. Jim, our practices are open, and he keeps looking at me every time I see him. And he goes, "You got a tough job to do." And I was like, "I know, we have a lot of great players." He's like, "You have a lot of great players." But you know what? They've pushed each other, and they keep making each other better. And so our program continues to elevate because of it. And then we'll find the right pieces out there.
And I know it's a never-ending job, but when do you really take the time to sit back and enjoy, like, look at this team, look what this program's become, and really soak it in? I mean, how often do you do that, or is it just a constant work?
It is a constant. I think you're just always in the grind. You're just like always in go mode. And I don't know that you be able to ask any coach, like, when do you reflect, and when do you, and I would be really curious to hear when I should be, because so when you ask others if they have great answers, I'll take them.
Okay.
I will say that there is typically like 2 times, and it hits me out of the blue, 2 times in our home schedule that it hits me, and I like take a moment and I just look around, and I just like soak it in, because I know where we started and where we are. And it like makes me emotional for like those 2 games, because I'm just really, really proud of what we've built here. And I'm proud of how we've done it. And then I just think we have such an incredible fan base that just continues to grow. And so I just have, hi Cole. I just have like so much pride in what we've done, how we've done it, and just the support that we have, and the support that these players deserve and that they get. And so there's literally 2 times, and I don't ever like plan it. It just like hits me, where I just take a breath and I look around, and I like literally get emotional. I don't look at anyone. I get my stuff together, and I get ready to go to the game. But it's been really, really fun, and I just am really, really proud of it.
So, of course, with how last season ended, and now going into this year, you got a tough preseason, or I wouldn't say preseason, but you got invited to one of the top, invitationals in the country. I can't. The name of it has lost me, but
the Clearwater tournament. Yeah, they wore us down. Finally, we've been invited a few years. I finally said yes.
How does that feel? No, I mean, now that you feel like, okay, we're ready to take this on, go see where we're at, but also know that it's okay that, hey, we're really going to see where this team's at.
I know. I need to keep reminding myself. That's why I said, yeah, no. Because there's times that I'm like, why'd I do that? Why, Matt, why'd you let me do that? And it's going to be great. I think that we always are very calculated in who we play, when we play them, and to prepare us to challenge us early, and then to just build our resume, and then also prepare us for SEC play. And so I think that does it. We've got our first draft of that of that tournament, and we are going to be challenged. It's going to be, it's why you do it. And so it'll be good. I think we did it by design because of how young we are, and we wanted to see what it looked like early so we could make some adjustments if we needed to, and just see how they compete against the best.
And I want to talk about the pressure of it, because I don't get me wrong, but either Texas or Oklahoma State went 0 for 3 in that tournament last year.
Oh, I think Texas. I think they were like 0 for
Yeah,
5,
but
maybe.
so what is it takes the pressure of that, knowing that, hey, if we go down there, and I'm not saying you want that, but knowing what Texas did in that tournament, how they turned things around, that either way, it's going to be a good thing for this team. So there's not really a lot of pressure of a team, say like in college football, where one loss and you're out for the season. You can go down there and it really just makes you grow, and then you can move on from that.
Well, I think it's whether you do really well there or don't do really well. It's just huge learning, like just a huge learning experience. Because if you go out there and kill it and you're not learning from it, then it's liable to turn the other way. So, we literally just go into every game trying to be our best. And that's what we talk about at the end, is whether we, played Arkansas softball the way we should have or not. And then we won't get caught up in that outcome. If we go out there and lose all 5, then I'm going to have to go to work and figure it out, but you just never know. You have a schedule like that where you could go out and lose 5 one-run games and play really well. And we're going to have to figure out how to be better from it. Or you can go out there and win 5 one-run games. And if you think that you're in a great spot, it can bite you in the butt. So it's just continually learning, especially in those early games, and getting us prepared for the long run.
And I guess for those who haven't really been able to catch up with the team or watch fall ball, what are some names? Who are some players that, incoming, that, your transfers, these freshmen that people need to look out for this year?
Well, I first have to say Shanice Stels and Hannah Gamble, because if there's anyone that hasn't watched us, those are names you need to get familiar with really quickly. And then we have 3 transfers. So Christina Foreman, Kylie Halverson, and Timber Riley. Those are 3 that you need to know. And then, it's interesting because I think we saw Spencer Prigge have an outstanding fall. She was battling some injury her freshman year, and now she's feeling really good, playing really well. She was kind of offsetting with Italia Rijo from New York, which I think is only the second player ever from New York to play in Arkansas softball. So that's pretty cool. And so they kind of, worked together at short, kind of offset, took some reps at short, and just trying to find the right combinations. Reagan Johnson's probably the fastest player we've ever had play in our program. And so it's just fun to see her put the ball on the ground and use her legs. Casey Hoffman's playing really well. I can go down the list. I honestly could literally talk about everybody on the roster right now, because I think they're all going to have a huge impact. And we really have the potential to probably play 15 to 18 of them at we don't know what that starting lineup's going to look like yet. And that's really, really exciting. I was hoping I would know out of the fall, and I have no idea. But you're going to see all 5 of our pitchers. They all work really well together. We're going to utilize the whole staff, and they're ready for that. I think you could see through the fall, they do a really good job of controlling the game. And so we'll see.
Well, and you brought up the pitching, and knowing what you've dealt with in the last couple of years with the pitching and the injuries and something short staff, not having, 3 full pitchers going into super regionals, what confidence does that give you now, knowing that, we have 5 that we know we can go to, and it's almost that missing piece when it comes to super in Oklahoma City, knowing that, hey, we have the pitching, we have the hitting, we have the defense, and the youth and the veterans to really make another deep run to Oklahoma City.
Yeah, well, I think we know we have the pieces in every aspect of the game. I think our pitching staff's a reflection of the way the game's going. It's really offensive. It's going to be really tough. I think Shanice is someone she's one of the top 5 in the country. Who are we kidding? She's just special. But the game's not built that way anymore. And you're going to have to utilize your staff, and you're going to have to manage that, and you're going to have to combo it. And I think that we have the staff that's going to understand that role. They're going to understand their their spot in that and how they complement the next, and just continue to push the staff and make them stronger. And we really do feel like we have the pieces. Right now, we're just worried about winning game one, but we know that we're still knocking on some really big things for our program, and so looking at what we have right now and where we are coming out of this fall, I'm really, really excited about what we have to work with for the spring.
And we'll end it on this. And we've talked about Coach Pittman being your number one fan. And I asked Coach Neighbors this, what does it mean to you that he actually gave you credit for the idea of when you have these kids come in and share that space of going to these football games and really giving them the full experience? I mean, what do you think that really has an impact on these kids getting to see, because normally they're coming in an off-season setting with football, so they're getting to experience this full campus life. So, I mean, how has that really impacted your kids and you as a coaching staff?
Well, I just think how connected we all are all of our head coaches and in our entire department. I just think that's really moved our department forward. I think Hunter's done an incredible job with that, but Sam has changed the culture of just like our coaches and how we can really like lean on each other, because he obviously is such a main fixture of our department, and he is as humble and the biggest team player that you could ever have, and just as authentic as you can have as well. And he's a huge softball fan, so it works in our benefit. But in that moment, I mean, he is always willing to do anything that he can to help the recruiting process. He gets it. He gets his role in that. He gets who he is in that. Like, he's the epitome. Him and Hunter are like the epitome of our athletic department. They both meet with our recruits. And Sam has always just said, hey, if you need something, you ask. Like, don't be afraid to ask. And I'm lucky that I'm friends with him, so I don't overuse it, but I don't abuse it by any means. But I'm not afraid to ask if there's something he can do, because he can say no. But he understands his role in the recruiting process. And so when I ask him to talk to our recruits, he's like, okay, I'll come out early from the locker room, and I'll come to the sideline and I'll come say hi, and then I'll go. And it's like, are you sure you can do that on game day? And it's always funny because my husband played college football and he coached, and he's just like, hey, at that point, the hay's in the barn. Like, there's not much, you can do. Yeah. It probably helps. Hey, Ramsey. Anyway, it probably helps get his mind off of different things anyway. But, the impact that he's had on our recruits, because when he walks over and he spends time with them on game day, on the sideline, he knows who I am. He knows our players that are down there with them. And he spends that time and then says, like, hey, you know about our softball program? Like, I'm a huge fan. It speaks volumes to how important softball is in this big picture of Arkansas athletics. It just validates what we do, and it I don't know, it just is really, really special for our recruits and their parents to see that. It's incredibly supportive. It's a very connected community, and we all are in this together and can, and so Sam's incredible.
Yeah, I know that genuine feeling of he knows the program. It's not that BS. Oh, here's the football coach. Hey, nice to see you. And I mean, parents see right through that kind of stuff. Kids see right through that kind of stuff. So it's almost like that could be a big difference between, are you landing this person or not? So seeing the genuine personality, but we all see him at the games. And I've mentioned this a couple of times, and there was a game. It was a LSU baseball series was last year. And I think it was the Kentucky series, and Hunter was there all three games instead of going to the baseball. Mm-hmm. And we all know Arkansas and LSU baseball is a big deal, but for him to be so that's what really showed me that, all right, we're not there just to say we're there. Mm-hmm. We're there all the time, every game. So it just shows that they have the belief in you. I mean, of course, with the new contract, there's talks of adding on to the facility. So it's like you're growing as a coach, your team's growing, and your campus and your facilities are growing. So you're just seeing everything evolved. And I guess we'll end on that, just the evolution of your program. And where do you see this thing in 5 years?
Oh gosh, good question. I was like, how's he gonna come out of this? I just really liked everything you were saying. Where do I see this in 5 years? Hopefully with an expanded stadium. Hopefully we're busting at the seams with fans wanting. I think that we're there. I think that we're selling out in these SEC games. We're selling out in the postseason. I think it's a really exciting time for softball, and I think that how we're playing should excite people. It should want to come check it out. And I think once they walk in those gates and watch this for the first time, I think that they could get hooked. I think it's that kind of sport. I think that our players are that kind of athlete that you just want to follow, and that you just so I see this just continuing to grow. I'm really happy. I can say I see me here as the Razorback head coach of the Razorback softball in 5 years and 7 years, and hopefully longer than that. So I just see this program continuing to grow, and that's going back to what I said earlier. We've built this program to sustain success, not just like hit it, but sustain success. And so I think that we're going to continue to compete at the highest level, and there's still firsts out there for us to accomplish. And so we're just going to keep pushing to get there. But we love what we do, and we love where we do it and who we do it with. So,
well, hopefully we're seeing that first Oklahoma City trophy getting hoisted up here in a couple of years. I think that's going to be very rewarding. But again, we want to thank you for coming on. It's been an honor, pleasure to see the growth of this team and being able to share it and cover it. So I appreciate you letting me be a part of it. I mean, it's been a lot of fun.
Well, thank you. I appreciate what you do for us, but all of women's athletics. It's really incredible. So thank you very, very much. And thanks for having me on tonight.
Well, that was Courtney Deifel. What's that?
I hope to be back sometime soon.
Yeah, we will definitely be back in the spring. So we're going to continue this on. But that will do it for episode 3 of the Weekly Women's Sports Report, presented by Fordham Lee Distillery and Bet Online. We will catch you next week.